What's up, fellow veterans? My name's Clay. I'm a former Black Hawk pilot in the U.S. Army Reserve, and now I'm a content writer here at VA Claims Insider. I've written something like 50 blogs on topics from TDIU to how to get VA disability for all sorts of conditions. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the VA Home Loan Program. If you're like me and you've bought a house recently or have been looking into buying a house recently, then you know that home costs are through the roof. And not only that, but interest rates are through the roof. As a veteran, you're probably looking into the VA Home Loan Program to try to save yourself some money. There's a lot of benefits with the program. For starters, there's no down payment. About 90% of the time, VA loans are out of down payment. They also have competitive interest rates. There's lower closing costs involved. I'm going to go into some of the closing costs later on in the video, but typically they're lower than other lenders. And there's no need for private mortgage insurance or PMI with a VA loan. And that'll save you a lot of money. And the VA Home Loan Guarantee is also a lifetime guarantee. It's a lifetime benefit. You can use it whenever, and you can also use it multiple times. So there are two types of VA loans. The first type is a VA direct loan. And with this type of loan, the VA is your lender. You're going to work with them directly to try to get through the application process. And the second type is a VA backed loan. And this is when the VA guarantees a portion of a loan made by a private lender. And there are two types of these loans. Number one is a purchase loan, and the second is an interest rate reduction refinance loan. You can use a purchase loan to buy, build, or improve your home. Those are three important uses: buy, build, or improve. You want to remember that. And an interest rate reduction refinance loan can be used if you already have a VA loan. You can refinance it to try to get your monthly mortgage payment decreased. So can you buy a mobile home with a VA loan? The answer is yes. Of course, you have to meet the qualification criteria. You and the property have to meet the criteria. Let's start with the mobile home itself. You can buy a mobile home with a VA loan as long as it was built after June 15th, 1976. This is the distinguishing line between what is technically a mobile home and a manufactured home. A manufactured home and a mobile home are pretty much the exact same thing, except for when they were built. If it was built after June 15, 1976, it's a manufactured home. If it was built before that date, it's a mobile home. And the VA does not give loans for a mobile home. Another criteria point is that it has to be permanently placed on a plot, or it has to be permanently placed on the plot in the future. So if you're having one delivered to a plot of land, you have to show paperwork showing that it will be permanently placed on the plot. It has to be classified as real estate in the state that you live in. And of course, this varies state to state, but some of the requirements you're going to be looking at usually include, it has to be on a permanent foundation on a plot of land. The wheels and the chassis have to be removed from the home, and it has to be connected to utilities. That's just generally speaking. You're going to want to look up what exactly your state requires. As for your requirements as the borrower, you first have to get a certificate of eligibility from the VA. And there is a huge long list of service requirements that you have to meet in order to get a certificate of eligibility. It depends on when you served and where you served and how long you served. Just follow the link in the description to our blog post on this topic, and you can see the exact specifications. I'm not going to bore you with it in this video. Besides the minimum service requirements, you have to not have been dishonorably discharged. Now, even if you don't meet the minimum service requirements, you could still get a certificate of eligibility if you were discharged for these reasons. Number one, hardship. If you were discharged because of a hardship, you could still qualify. Or if you were discharged for the convenience of the government, you could still qualify. If you were an early out, you could still qualify. Or if you were discharged because of a reduction in force, if you were discharged for certain medical conditions, or because you have a service-connected disability, any of those scenarios, you could still qualify to get a certificate of eligibility. But keep in mind that even with a certificate of eligibility in hand, you still need to meet the specific lender requirements. So if you're doing a VA-backed loan rather than a VA direct loan, the lender's going to have probably like a credit score requirement, income requirements, all those sorts of things that private lenders usually have. So how do you request a certificate of eligibility? Well, there are three ways. You can do it online at va.gov. I would probably just Google how to get a certificate of eligibility from the VA. It'll probably be the first result. Or you can request one through your lender. If you're doing a VA-backed loan and you're working with a private lender, sometimes they can request it through a system called Web LGY. If you bring that up to them, hopefully they know what you're talking about. Or you can mail a completed VA Form 26-1880 to your regional VA loan center. If you follow the link in the description, check out the post. We have a link to how to find your VA regional loan center. The process for buying a mobile home with a VA loan is roughly like this. So after you get your certificate of eligibility, the VA recommends that you sit down and knock out a solid budget. You really want to make sure that you can afford to make a purchase this large before you move forward with it. Now, if you decide you can afford to buy a mobile home, then it's time to shop for lenders. Again, you can do a VA direct loan or a VA backed loan. Depending on which you choose is going to decide what lender you work with. And once you find a lender, it's time to find your home. The VA recommends hiring a real estate agent. They can usually do a pretty good job finding something that fits your needs really well. And when you do find your home, work with that real estate agent to create a purchase agreement. You definitely want to get everything down on paper. The VA recommends including what they call a VA escape clause. And this way, if you get one of these in your purchase agreement, if the mobile home doesn't appraise for the amount of the loan that you've applied for, then you can void the loan and you won't get stuck with a loan that's worth more than you need. And that way you won't be making a monthly payment that's more than you need to be making. So after all that, you want to have the mobile home appraised and inspected for defects and minimum property requirements. That's pretty par for the course when you're buying a home. And if the home passes inspection, then you're ready to get into your closing documentation. This is when you're going to sit down with whoever you're buying the mobile home from. You probably sit down with the bank as well and your real estate agent, and you're going to go page by page, and you're going to sign a whole bunch of stuff. But make sure you read it all. It's going to be a pain in the butt, but you got to read it all. And once you get through all that paperwork, you're going to be ready to move into your mobile home. The amount you can get for a VA loan is going to depend on several factors, such as the value of the plot the mobile home is going to sit on, the value of the mobile home itself, the closing costs, as well as the VA funding fee. Again, follow the link in the description to our post on this topic, and you can see all of the details, all of the requirements. So I mentioned the VA funding fee a second ago. What exactly is that? Well, it's this thing that's included in the closing costs of any VA loan. It is a one-time fee that you pay to the VA at closing, and it can be as high as 25% of the loan, which can be pretty steep. And the purpose of the VA funding fee is to reduce the burden that VA loans have on U.S. taxpayers. Because VA-backed loans are secured with federal dollars, whenever a VA loan is defaulted on, it's ultimately the taxpayer who has to foot the bill. But the VA funding fee helps the VA cover its losses in the event that you default on your loan. Several funding fees were reduced in 2023. Follow the link in the description to check out the chart. We've got the old funding fee and the new funding fee so that you can see how much this reduction can save you. Now, there are ways to get exemptions from the VA funding fee. If any of these describe you, you could be eligible for a VA loan funding fee exemption. If you have a VA rating and receive VA disability compensation, or if you're eligible for a VA rating, you just don't have one yet, you could get a VA funding fee exemption. If you received dependency and indemnity compensation as a surviving spouse of a veteran, you could qualify for an exemption. Or if you get one of these things that's called a proposed or memorandum rating, and this is when the VA says, hey, we plan on giving you a rating, you just don't have one yet. But it will show the VA or your private lender that you're eligible for VA benefits. This usually happens with like a pre-discharge claim. Or if you have a Purple Heart and you can provide evidence of it before the closing date of your loan, you could get a VA funding fee exemption. So this is by no means everything you need to know about getting a VA loan for a mobile home. You're going to want to talk to a banker. You're going to want to talk directly to the VA or a real estate agent. They're going to have a lot more in-depth knowledge than I can give you here. But you definitely want to follow the link in the description and check out our post because like I've been saying, there's a lot more detailed information. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can get our videos in the future. If you go on our website and check out our post, how to get a VA loan for a mobile home, give us your email and we'll send you a lot more great posts just like that one in the future.